Hello everyone, welcome back. So Bootcamp 2, this is the day one. I wouldn't even call it day one. The reason being, um, I think I have to change the schedule back to 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time on weekends rather than this evening time. That seems to be more comfortable for all. But however, what I wanted to do in today's session was, as part of the agenda that we had, what we wanted to do was recap the first bootcamp, because there's a lot of content that we've learned and exposed ourselves to. So let's do that first. And from next weekend, which is Saturday, Sunday, and then on, we'll move on with some more stuff. But meanwhile, team, if any of you are working or would be interested to participate in some of the research and project works that I'm doing, please ping me, email me. I'll add you to the group. We have created another webinar link for it, so we can continue to interact on that. All right, so this is good. Now, what I want to do today, team, is uh, I won't take too much of time. I don't think it'll be like an hour or plus, but at least do a quick recap. It's very important to understand what we have done so far, and then it'll push us forward. Primarily, our journey is all about how do we, as test engineers or software test professionals, migrate our career with AI in the market. So just like how we were only manual testers, let's say, at least in early 2000s and so on, and then automation was coming in, people were very hesitant because at the core of it, we test engineers say that, you know what, we don't like coding, or we're not maybe good at it, and that is the reason I chose this career. But then automation forced it down to us and said, you know what, you still got to do it, you still got to automate. So we learned automation. Some of us went on to become SDETs, or I have evolved into being an architect in the automation space. So that way, it's the same journey that will continue, team, and this time it'll be much more easier, much more simpler to learn anything. So what did we do? We were doing a lot of research, team, primarily around understanding what is the concept or scope of AI and QA. So a whole 4-day session, about almost about 8-9 hours or more. We went through a lot of hands-on assignment, a lot of Python coding and all that. At the end of it, there were a few good documents that I thought will give you a perspective. So let's go through some of these documents. It'll give you an understanding, team. So in all of this, we've generated through prompts. So a lot of prompting towards GenAI tools like Gemini or a Grok or Chat GPT and so on. Anything, whatever you take, team, as long as we get the crux. Always remember that AI, even now or even in future, may not give you all the time 100% accurate results. And so was automation. There were flaky tests that did false positives for us. So we know how to make sure that we screen the content of what we get and make sure that we test it before we deliver it. So again, the same thing. So there could be defects, but the content got created with the help of Gen AI. So it generated this based on few prompts, but what is the intent? What are the various testing activities that we do? It could be types of testing or scopes of testing. You can add a lot more to it, but primarily understanding how our approach has been towards manual, then automation, and what AI does. So this is an interesting comparison metrics, team. If you look at, I have the activities, and as humans, how do we approach it? What does automation solve? And then there are SaaS tools, team. Always remember. So in our software testing industry, it is always important that you're not just someone who knows automation and manual, but you also have a good set of tools or skill sets that are third party, because you don't know which uh, org, which team is using what set of tools. They're all plug and play to a large extent. Some of them are all inclusive, so that becomes good and bad in its own perspective. So the idea is, what can AI do, team? That is what we want to arrive at. Look at, so let's focus on this column rather than all of them for now, but get a perspective. So it's saying unit testing, integration testing, system testing, performance testing, generate test cases, code analysis and predictions, potential failures, integration points, integration testing, especially with system integration modules, how do we capture them? Performance testing. So being able to predict based on historical data and say where my bottlenecks may lie, and be able to counter them or improve your systems accordingly. So that's very important, team. And then security testing, very critical. There's static applications security testing, and there's dynamic app. So primarily with both of these, you have a code level test, you have a black box, you have a white box test that happens on security. So there are a lot of tools that do just security testing as well, team. But I believe some of these tools also carry that feature within them. I'm I wouldn't be 100% sure, but that's what it came up, and that is where we said, you know what, let's evaluate more. Let's evaluate more. This looks good. How do we accomplish them at our end? So that's been the starting point, team. Exploratory test. This is again very important. So what does manual users do? Explore the application just randomly. I don't have any predefined scope or saying that, you know what, here's my test cases. I'll do exactly what the test cases say. I'm going out of that box thinking and saying, I'll play around with it. Let me spend some time on it. Let me see how every feature is kind of responding, working. Sometimes just as a regular user, end user, or someone who's very serious and, you know what, all my tests have run, all my automations have done, but I still want to put a human idea into it. But that's something that, and this is where, for example, a human with a smart IQ, someone who's more experienced to those kind of, let's say, mobile apps or web apps and so on, can do it quicker, can really find the defects. They have the eye for the detail. They can immediately point that, oh, you know what, this is beautiful, I'll go attack that. um, what does it say in automation? Not typically automated due to its ad hoc nature. Because see, automation end of the day is instructions. Even if I want to do something, I have to first manually do it and then teach my automation tool that this is how I did it manually. Now you learn, now you do it using these libraries like Selenium or Rest Assured or so on. What is important, team, is your instructions are there, but that is where you're saying that, you know what, exploration testing is not something that I'll keep repetitively doing and it'll keep changing each time. There's no predefined path to it. So automation will fail. That's where AI can pick up. And once I keep giving it prompts, like AI, look at it as a user UX engineer. You look at it like a, I'm sorry to use the word, but for a dummies, how are they using the system? um, AI look at this application, do the exploration testing, as you are a scientist. Would you do it? So those are the things that I can create. I can create flavors, I can create environments. So that's a huge gain, team, in exploratory testing. There are a lot of gains in a lot of areas. That is what we want to keep exploring. What else? There's one more. Let's see some of these. I just want to go in a flow where I can cover a lot of what we did earlier. All right. This is, oh, okay, nice. QA AI tool capabilities. So primarily, if you look at an AI capability or feature, what it means in the longer idea. And in fact, team, at the mid of last year, I was only exposed to one or two of them. But as I went through in the last 6-7 months, I've been really going deep, doing research, because I'm also building the product on the side to be able to understand and say, you know what, wow, this is amazing. How do I put it into practice? But what is it that it can be, we can accomplish? So there's the 4 sheets here, team. This is the, oh, I can't because I don't think I'm the owner on this. But anyway, what is it? AI, large language models. What can it do for us? It's again, between these two, there's a lot of similarities, but at the high level, at least test cases which are more human speaking, like where we have Gherkin, uh, like, application or tools like Cucumber, Karate, which say given, when, then, what do we do? And or those kind of steps that you want to explore. It becomes very easy for LLMs to be able to help us with that. Assist testers, okay, interpret and validate user stories. So if I link it with Jira, that's great. Testers with code suggestions and explanations. This is another fundamental great thing, team. Auto assist or auto code complete, be it using Copilot that you do with GitHub and, let's say, any IDE like VSS or PyCharm, you are able to accomplish that very, very easily. So your productivity is improving. All these corporations always have driven around these few terms, team. whenever they get a chance. ROI, productivity, efficiency, tech debt, you know, skill enhancements, and end of the day, they still struggle to recruit people, to hire people. It becomes challenging. It's not easy because tech is changing, and you never get perfect fitments. That is where how can we be more broader? AI is really helping in that zone where humans are being more specialized and more focused. I can be very broad. I will still have hallucinations as AI, or may not always give the right input, but you can continue to trust me on a few things and then train me on a few things, test me on a few things, and build me as models. Generative AI, to a large extent, team test data, synthetic test data. This becomes important because you want to run them on multiple environments. How do you run it on various boxes, similar tests? Each time takes a lot of human effort to be able to create new set of test data, if you need them to be unique and so on. All of these are important. Visual regression testing, that's a fundamentally a big thing that will happen tomorrow, in tomorrow's future, where everything becomes more visual, and we don't have maybe any more XPaths or CSS or ID, or name attributes at an element level to be able to identify elements. So, I mean, what I'm saying is it can get blurred, merged. So you have to be able to adapt to it, team. How we are using Selenium earlier or Playwright in today's world to be able to interact with browser, these things keep changing, evolving. And AI agents are beautiful, team. This is where you give it an actionable item. Say that, you know what, I want you to do ABC, do it. That's my AI agent. What is it? Agentic AI? I'm saying basically I have A to Z to do. You decide what you want to do. You have a lot of options. All of this. You take an intelligent choice. You do it for me. So it could be someone who's saying, you know what, I already am in a sprint, and in that sprint release, there is now the new sprint starting. So my agentic AI should be able to go capture all the requirements that the dev team is putting in the Jira, get that board, get the features, scenarios, all of them, create tests, create data, create scripts or automation, execute them in each environment, give me the results. That's a beautiful scenario, team. And then self-heal, improve over a period of time, do predictive analysis, frameworks, reinforcement learning, computer vision, a few things. Explainable AI is one thing, team, that I want to talk about. And this doesn't include RAG, MCP, and a few more new things that we're going to be talking about. But explainable AI is very simple, team. At the end of it, governance becomes very important. We don't want AI to be black box. We want AI to be transparent. I need to see what is happening within what it is executing in AI, and I would love to, you know, be able to have a grip on that. I want to be in control of it. So that's what explainable AI is trying to do. So when it comes to large corporations, orgs, healthcare, a lot of these industry segments, finance and so on, they will be very, very persistent on the fact that, um, let's make sure everything is ready for audits. So that's an important one, team. Use of AI and look at all of this. Okay, few. There we go. Maybe this is one of the other ones that will give a different perspective. Look at the different ways we are trying to analyze the same thing or similar stuff. But I like this breakdown as well. You know what? These are the things that I do in QA. What can AI do? Test case generation, test data, code automation, script generation, self-healing, visual testing, blah, 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 predictive analysis, analytics and optimization. This is an important one. Root cause analysis, team, because wherever you see there's a human component that is extensive, that is where I believe, oh, I can't edit this because ITLN is sharing it. So that is where I think you still need to understand how to train these AIs to do exactly the job you need. End of the day, like we say, automation, it's still based on a trigger, still based on your steps and actions. The same thing here. What else? AI and SaaS tools. This is a nice one too. All right. So you saw this list, right? The fundamentally a lot of things we can do. This list is similar to it. And then we're talking different tools. And I created one for about a top 100 as well. But at least at a high level, these are different tools, or even some of them are even open source frameworks and just AI chatbots and so on. But predominantly what does each tool do? So what is our intent team? If we are working in the QA industry, I should be able to at least know what are the capabilities of some tools. What could I recommend, especially when you go to assess a project or be an advisor and strategically say, this is the roadmap. At that time, those become important. So that's AI and QA. SaaS QE tools. I think this is also one more. I'll go through a list, please bear with me. Wow, okay. Again, a different comparison, just a different view, I believe. But I'm saying, you know what? Put all my tools in one place, and this is where I wanted to add 100 more. I don't know where I have that report. And again, LLM's team that I've used. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly where I got the source from. But looking at it, I think it's ChatGPT. I don't know. So see, again, easier to read at a human level, codeless automation, self-healing tests, what it covers. And do remember, team, a lot of these organizations also use large, still ethnic or mainframe systems. Some of them have large ERPs like SAP, Oracle, or Salesforce. And some of them are very, very innovative into the latest UI applications. So that becomes a very important playing factor. So our understanding is when we get into these tools, we should know that they typically all solve similar purposes. They all have very similar approach. Then, so it is, and they're built for test engineers. So it should not be very tough for us to understand, team. Um, so at a high level, we know what they do. And from a point of all of these activities, what they do. Pricing becomes a very important thing, but then it is not always the only deciding factor. And that's key. How do you balance all the options, come up with the best that's available? All right, prompts. So while we were going through all of these and at a high level, day 1 to 4, where was this? Okay, there we go. Session 1, we went through a lot of this stuff. We worked on some assignments and we were playing around to see how we can slowly take our baby steps towards using LLMs, GenAI. Then we said, let's identify applications, team. We took different applications for different use cases. And then we said, let's play around. Let's write them. Can AI write? So we did that. And then we went into building our own Python AI agent. We spoke about Foxyiz and what we can do with it. But before that, we went through a lot of code within Python, gaming, UI, and all that. I explained Foxyiz. I'll talk about it a little bit more. Then we went into some of these tools, team, test trigger, Catalan, Functionize. We were comparing them. We did workflow automation, N8 and Zapier. These were very important ones. And then we did Mabel, Functionize, yes, trial versions. We kept building Foxes. We were looking at all of this. So we basically are going through some of these documents that we were working on. So prompts. So prompts, basically what I did is we made a Word document and we were collaborating after a while saying that, you know what, anything that we want to ask as a prompt, let's document it. Let's not keep it vague because we want to understand what it is giving, how we can refer to it later. So I used to write a prompt and then, for example, what did we get out of Grok as an output for that prompt? What did we get out of Gemini? They all give us history and shareable links, so it's easy to do this. Let's see, Foxes shared. Okay, and it did, team. This is what it is. This is the output. So it gave me nicely all the test cases that I need for that application. I'm able to log in, go deeper. And it in fact gave me the code as well. And that was easy for us to very easily copy them, put it in the PyCharm and play around with it. Similarly with Gemini and what it gave me as an output. And in fact, we wrote a prompt saying, you know what, uh, compare all of these and give me, can you merge the outputs from each of these chat sessions? Gemini filed, it said it couldn't do it because of some restrictions, and all of these are still experimental. So they're setting their policies in place. They want to make sure they're playing it correctly. Any questions? Meanwhile, team, I'm going through monologue right now, I know. But if you have anything from your end, please ping me in the chat so I'm aware. What else? So yeah, a lot of prompts in that, and that's very interesting of what we were doing. Can you get a similar output for testing API get calls? And uh, the outputs were, I stayed with Grok to a large extent. It looked to be more in line with what I wanted to do. It was the same one, but now I have a lot more. So I basically am adding more and more inputs to it. There you go, merging. I think it did the merge. There you go. See, final merged output. That's nice. It gave me test data as well. But all of this, again, written into the code, some of this hard coded, and so on. But it's a starting point, team. It's always easy to optimize from there on. All right, back to the bootcamp. And now prompts, ROI, work in progress. Okay, this is the last one that I want to share, where we're building a return on investment team. Basically, at a high level, different components that we're trying to compare: cost, maintenance, adaptability, scalability, all of these things. It's work in progress. So that's something we'll do. All right. So yes, I spoke about AI agents, workflows. Just to say that at a high level, I covered them, but team, definitely please go through it. You'll understand. Now, team, I want to take a quick uh, step back into our memory line timeline. Maybe about exactly 10 years ago, 2015 was when I came out with one of the first. Let me see if I'm able to access it. Yeah, AnyAUT team. AnyAUT at that time stood for any application under test. Automate any application under test. That was something we built in Java. It was UI heavy at that time, and we didn't have APIs and all that playing that a big role yet in the market. So it was all focused towards UI only. What happened? It didn't open for me. It did. Okay, now. So this application did to a large extent test automation for UI applications. The way it was organized was very simple for users to be able to go and be able to create. So I'll talk about a couple of things that were important for this framework team. The what all it does and the architecture and a few things. At a high level team, it is easy to manage your tests with a portal. That's what we did. We built an automation engine. It was very easy to set up. In fact, it's just download and get started. They had reusable components team, and that's where you could build them. And you have a source code access. So there's a lot that you could do on it. And there were frameworks, dashboard reports, zero coding, a lot of things that we did on a team. So all of this put together as a solution, we made a web UI front end where users were able to manage all that they wanted to do with their automation. So they don't have to open a code or an IDE to do anything. And then at the back end, we knew that the inputs were given and we had a smart code that could easily understand as a core engine what steps have to be done and then execute them and get reports. So we built a big version. We did a lot of projects on this, large implementations. And then somewhere about 2019 or 20 was one of the last projects that I did with AnyAUT. I was looking at rebuilding it with API and we did some solutions of it. I kept implementing very similar things, but Foxyiz then evolved team with what we're doing now. This was the application actually, the newer version that we created, the web front end, and how we basically created everything as a simple dashboard. And this was in way back in 2015. Not many applications had a web front end to be able to manage. So whatever I needed to automate, including identifying elements, each test step, all of these were well stored for me in one place. And that's what made it very easy to use, easy to implement. So the implementation cycle, there was very little coding needed because all that was happening was going on through the web app where all your user stories, run and results, your reusable components and everything were present. That basically used your QA playbooks as Excel sheets with the core engine. It knew what to run, launch those applications, run it, and create reports. We were using extend reports team at that time, and we had some amazing reports coming in. I have some actual files for it, almost like 1,000+ test cases, 8,000, 9,000 test steps for large insurance orgs. That's something we could build on. Perfect. All right. So that was about AnyAUT, just a quick background on it. Now let me talk about Foxyiz team. Foxyiz is the framework that we've been building, the Python-based software AI agent. We've done a lot of work on it together in the previous bootcamp, but at the moment we've come up with at least a core-based version team. I'm not showing a working demo. I mean, let's see if we can do that too. But let me at least show you the presentation team. I made a simple PowerPoint. Wow, what is this? Okay. Open preview. There you go. I've just started making this, and I didn't want to overcrowd it with slides team. It'll be under 10 slides at the end of it. Some of this I've still not completed, but to give you a high level, the first 5-6 slides, I think you're ready. So the whole perspective team is I've broken this down into something that is understandable, almost as simple as basic math. It should be easy for us to be able to achieve our goals without having to worry too much about the tech skills and knowledge that we need to adapt before getting started. So it gives you a capability to hit the ground running and say that, you know what, let's automate quickly. Let's get AI into action where we need. Let's look at analytics. Let's look at metrics. So at the end of it, it's a task automation team, but I am able to achieve that same solution to be able to automate my testing of applications as well. So that's the key advantage team. And when I looked at, in fact, QTP at my 2008-9 timeframe, that's where I started training with IT Learn on QTP. I realized that the power of automation is amazing. You can really do a lot of stuff. So I said, you know what, let's talk about this. So AnyAUT is something that I've built, we've experienced it, we know where it lagged. Foxyiz is something that hopefully is going to take that into the next level. Just a few points, team, before I show you a couple of more slides which are pictorial. Low code, no code team, that's a key word, remember that. We want to reduce the dependency on the test engineers to no coding or IDEs also. Setup. It's so lethargic and so troublesome to maintain. For a test engineer to create tests, all of the time is going into maintaining their automation tools, not in actually thinking creatively and coming up with new ways to test, new ways to break application, and so on. It's going to be open source and open code team. Primarily, unless you get the entire source code, you won't be able to do much. Maybe the engine can be separate, but most of the other components have to be given. And that's going to be a key differentiator when it comes to SaaS versus homegrown versus Foxyiz. It's something that is kind of a hybrid model. You have a starting point and you continue to build home in-house. Like I mentioned, it's basic maths like a formula. It should be easy to adopt and build with. Once you understand what components are there and how it works, like I said, you could do a lot of custom code, continue to integrate with API, AI, expand as needed. So you have that flexibility team, and your code does not have to keep increasing in complexity where you're integrating or expanding. It could be as simple as a simple API call as one of your steps that is giving you what you need just in time. Users QA do not need IDEs or look at code. That's what I'm trying to emphasize on with low code, no code. And they need to focus more on building tests to improve overall health of the application. And the word CSV is important, team. I've been using AnyAUT with Excel, but again, some organizations don't have the licenses and those challenges. And in fact, the Java plugin for interacting with Excel was HSSF, horrible spreadsheet format. So not everyone loves it, not everyone likes it. So use it. It doesn't matter, team. I'm saying CSV. You could use Excel, you could use JSON, you could use any, or even Markdown versions going forward. As long as it is both easily readable for a human and for your automation and for your AI. Remember that. Then you could. So what does Foxyiz do, team? Like the word says, it's 4 components. It's a function of X and Y that gives me Z. F is primarily my engine. It knows how it can interact with the other 3 components and do its purpose. And this is something that developers build, or an architect designs and builds. And so you need coding experience absolutely for maintaining FT. X is your automation capabilities. What can we do automatically? So that could be UI, that could be math, API, AI, database level, util levels, whatever you continue to add in future. So this is where you have given capabilities, but you can continue to add new capabilities. So X is all about your automation capabilities, what automation actions you can perform. Y is something like a roadmap or a playbook, team, saying, you know what, this is what I want you to do, or this is what you can do. And then we go about trying to execute from it. So to be able to execute any action, any type, the way we have designed it is Y has 3 components. It has plans. The plans basically say at a high level, I might have n number of things to do. Like it could be test cases in this case, for example. It could be modules that you're running and so on. Actions are nothing but your test steps, individual steps that happen. It could be simple things like opening browser, clicking on a link, logging in, checking your cart, checking out the entire thing, confirming purchase, or it could be go get my weather, um, or get the latest news, read my Twitter, post on my LinkedIn, create an image, whatever you want, team. Those are the actions. As long as those actions are capable for X to do. So this is where you need no coding, no development. Everything is done on a CSV level. And then Z is basically analytics and reports team. They say is that, you know what, great. I really need to, whatever you do, I don't care, but I need to know what you're going to be doing, what you've done. I need to be able to log them. I would love to have reports on them. I need data to analyze them. So to build dashboards, to build metrics, to build triggers, alerts, to say, you know what, this is an issue. It's a flaky test. Let's do self-healing. All of this gets contained within Z. So primarily at any given point, any user, team, organization can say, you know what, I have different F, they customize it. X could be the open source that we create, or they could keep on adding on to their own. So there are versions that will keep changing between them, and that's where you need to maintain. And once you maintain your designs is nothing but set of data sets, team. Think of it like different users or user types. You want the same plans and actions to run, or different test environments are there. You want your tests to be running same tests, same plans like actions, like tests and steps to be running on different environments. So what changes? The location changes, the parameters changes, some basic config changes. All of those you put them in designs team. Then you can encrypt them, make sure that your API keys or your passwords are all well protected as well. So, and then every team can create their own playbook. So in an organization, your F and X could be frozen, where only the developers are saying, you know what, use these, but every team is creating their own pads. So then all you have to do is manage them. If we don't do it in this model, team, you have hundreds and hundreds of scripts to manage. So instead of having to manage scripts, we're trying to manage everything in a human readable format. And the same with Z. Where do you want the reports? You want them by date, by time, by priority, alerted. All of this is something that you could easily maintain, as long as these are my components. So within an organization, Y and Z keeps changing all the time. A lot of changes happen here. But new capabilities, I want to add new AI capabilities, local agents, and so on. Then I will change X at that time. typically the car or the engine that we're saying, it should be running team. It should not break down for any reason. You can maintain it, you can improve it. But let's say, you know what, I want to change the way we're using delimiters or tags or how I want to run them in parallel. The logic itself is a little different. Then you can open up F. So that is primarily saying that I don't need too much coding to be changing each time. A lot of change can happen within Y, the pads, plans, actions, and designs. So this is the folder structure team. This is it. This is all that you download and use. There's nothing else that you need. Yes, drivers, but other than that, nothing else. So like I mentioned, team, the function itself has just one f.py. In fact, I might make it as fengine.exe or f.py if we want to not have that code to be needed for the user. Start.json basically tells me, you know what, XAS, sorry, what are the pads that I want to run and where my results should go. So that gives the instruction and saying that, you know what, run these plans or tests or modules. For this plans, these are the actions related. Also pick up the designs that you need for it. And wherever automation capabilities are needed, pick it from X capabilities. So X capabilities.csv is nothing but almost like a book for you to look at as to what X can do, what are the inputs that each action in its sense, depending on the different types. And then we have xactions.py. It's nothing but a reusable one. Depending on what action, we call that function, we send the right inputs, we get the expected output. That output is what we're sending it back into Z results team. So we have an overall results as CSV saying what happened at each action level and plan that gets easily displayed as a HTML dashboard. We wrote one with JavaScript, so that makes it easy. Then we created a zlog.txt, basically saying, you know what, let's document everything. So irrespective of what you did in the current run, whatever F did, it'll keep logging in here. In fact, I should maybe put one more arrow from here to logging. Perfect. So that's what basically the structure is, team. So when you download the code, this is what you'll have. You could then go about customizing your plans, actions, and designs. And once you have them ready, there are few actions that you can perform with F itself. At the moment, only prep and run are ready, but ideally, this is what we'll build in the process of building. Prep will basically say, you know what, you gave me what to do. I'll prepare and keep it ready as these are my things to do, Z to do. And run basically does that run team. At the moment, both are being done with the same command, where it prepares once and it executes it. Explore is where team, I can give it a website, I can give it a Swagger document or an API schema doc and say, you know what, build me new tests. Like you saw how GenAI can do it. And when I feed Foxyiz into it as an overall framework and show it a few pads, it is able to do absolutely brilliant job, team. Get me a beautiful output of tests, data, steps, all related, again linked with actions. If at any point it sees that, you know what, your capabilities are low, it suggests here are some more functions codes that you can improve it with. So that's basically it is team. I've not filled this, we'll come back to it, but at a high level, that is what we've done this. So I think, yeah, next 3-4 days we'll have this something that I can share and as if overall thing for you to see. But here is something that we were doing. I put them all into one folder. So what do I have? Same thing like I was saying, team, it's not too complicated. This is my start.json. It basically says what my input files are, where are my plans, actions, designs, and that's in my Y folder. So there's the XYZ folder, and then there's f.py and start.json. What I did is instead of having everything in one, I said, you know what, I'll put API CSV here. So each one has a plan and a plan ID, a plan name. Do I want to run it or not? What it does. And for that plan, the designs team. Designs, what I was saying is the data set. So as soon as I have a design, it basically says, oh, you know what? The user is referring to these design sets. So design one, if I want to get the data name endpoint, I take this. For design two, it is this. Design three, this is the one. So payload for design one, this is the one, and so on. So what happens is I'm able to take this and use them as reusable components team. In this case, these are all related to APIs, but it's the same template that I'll use for API, UI, math, everything. And here are my actual detailed steps. I could have hundreds of steps, but related to my plan that I want to run, those are the ones that get loaded into Z. So out here you have your step ID, step info. For each plan, there could be one or more steps team. And this is where a lot of reusability comes in. It says, here is my action type, and here's my get. So as soon as you go into the X actions.py, you'll see at the very top, we have the action type. So based on the action type, which method are we gonna call? So those are the things that make these components make it easy team. So that way we have UI and so on. So in my f.py, at the moment, let's say I'm doing a execution for UI only. Everything else is there team. And Z, this is where I'm getting my dashboards. So it's updating. I also have some more additional files as temp right now. The intent is I want the users to be able to access and see what is happening. As soon as it's prepared, it'll create one version. While it's executing, it'll give you some version and so on. So I believe both Z dash and that have the details. Let's open it in a browser and keep it side. Perfect. So what it does is basically it looks at after the execution team, you get Z plans result and Z actions result. So it's saying all of this ran, but there was some error. So that's why we need to see, debug and say, where is the issue? Is it my X, Y, or Z or F? It's very easy to then go to your root cause team. And out here, it gives me at a high level. So the same thing is being represented here in the dashboard. So at any time, let's say I don't even know if this will work fully well, but still in the making. But it's getting easier team. It's getting much simpler. I wanted to keep the whole base in such a way that you can build from it as a component. It can be as simple as a small sized byte, or in fact, when I zipped this whole project and I looked at it, it came out to only 41 KB in a compressed version in a zip folder. So there we go. I think it opened the browser. Did it? I didn't see it in front of me. Oh, there you go. Now, so it's going to perform some of the steps that it saw. There's no script on it, team. All the script of actions that have to be performed are all present within the CSV files in YPads. So that is where we are able to segregate and say, you know what, code changes rarely. Let's code be here. Everything else to do, what are the steps, tasks, tests to be done? Let it be done in a different place. So execution is happening, team. I don't know if the execution is done. It didn't close the browser. I don't know if it's an issue. It's still doing it. There we go. So all done. There are a lot of errors. And this is at a F level error team. Still new things are coming in. A lot of new small features are being added. The core component is ready now. At least I know that's working. So I could do the same for different ones like API. I could run or anything. The reason I did this is it'll make it easy for me to do something at a command line team. I can say, Python fengine.exe fstar.json, and then I should be able to do a lot of them. So API, if you looked at, ran much more quicker team. So there we go. Now it automatically refreshed to API. This report is in fact very interesting team. What we did is we built it using a JavaScript, which is constantly looking at the CSVs with refresh that I'm pointing it to. And let me do control F dot CSV. There we go. Z plans underscore result.csv and Z actions underscore result.csv. It takes that information and says, you know what, at high level, these are the plans and these are the actions and these are the details. So initial version, plan to add, it's very simple to add add customized team. That is something I want to leave it to the end user. You have the core components. You can build anything you want from there on, be it graphs, charts, triggers, alerts, self-healing, and so on. So for example, anytime it sees an error, then you have a listener saying that, you know what, let's rerun this, let's fix it. So how can we keep changing pad till it gets corrected? So that's where AI can help, and that's where it can avoid manual intervention to the large extent. So great, sorry. That's primarily what it is. There's a couple of steps only for each API. We're sending something, we're expecting something. All of this is well parameterized and documented, team. In fact, I wanted to just show you the pads actions, for example, here. So if you see this input out here, it's API endpoint. Right now I'd use a semicolon, but as a delimiter, we can use something else to make it unique, and then a prompt. The same thing if you look at for APIs here, this is for LLMs team AI side, base URL endpoint, name, expected name, base URL pet endpoint. So all of this data is coming from your designs. Your designs hold them. So for example, where is my API loaded? What is my key? I've not put that here. It's actually in the code, hard coded right now. But if I ask a prompt, what is it giving me? And so on. So Markdown version is also another important one, team, where you're able to download a lot of this data as a .md file. Um, that's easy for AI to read and digest as well. So that's Fox's team. That is what we were building together. And team, last note, if any one of you are interested to be part of what we're building as a project, please do join, because like I mentioned out here, I'm sorry, excuse me, speaking non-stop for a while, that there's a lot that we're doing in the research team, and you could get certified with it. You could be someone who gets AI testers, someone who's testing these LLMs to their outputs, or these new bots, agents that are being made. AI is that's where you customizing LLMs and integrating into them into your automation framework. Just give me a second, please. Sorry, had to take a quick break. All right. And or an architect to design new solutions, new frameworks, and so on. That's something you should be looking at, team. These are the simple roles that you have. And my focus would be, we've done a lot in QA, we've done a lot in AI. On itlearn.com, you'll find 50 plus courses on, right from QTP Selenium to all the way to AI. Sorry, what I'm trying to focus now is upgrading our skills and making sure that we are in line with what the market is doing. Great. So that's pretty much like more like a recap team of Bootcamp 1, and that will give us an ability to move on further. But please, if you have the access, watch those videos, go through them at length, or this should give you a perspective and get you ready to work on the next steps. So there's a lot we're going to be doing the remaining few days. So, all right, team. Thank you so much. That's it for now. See you back later.